Your visor closes, your hands settle, and the world suddenly becomes narrower. The motorcycle demands more from your attention, yet your mind can feel quieter. You might take that as proof that smart people are naturally drawn to motorcycles. That conclusion goes further than the evidence allows. Research on riders does not establish that motorcycle lovers have higher intelligence. What it suggests is more interesting. Riding can intensify attention, leaving less room for unrelated thoughts. The machine does not empty your mind. Sensory monitoring also remains active. Instead, it gives you one problem large enough to organize everything else around. Before turning that into a dark psychological explanation, the ordinary explanation deserves respect. Some people ride because it is enjoyable. Some value convenience. Others want adventure, movement, or a social world built around the machine. None of those motives requires a hidden wound or a complicated theory. The reckless rider stereotype is incomplete as well. In one study, car drivers described the typical motorcyclist more negatively than riders described themselves. That does not prove riders possess better personalities. Because self-description is not an objective character test, it does show how easily outsiders flatten a complex group into noise, speed, and risk. So labels are not enough. The more useful question is, what riding actually asks your mind to do? Your attention moves between the mirrors, the road surface, the motion of nearby vehicles, and the space you might need next. Every input changes the next decision. The motorcycle turns perception and action into a continuous feedback loop. You are not only receiving stimulation. Instead, you select, predict, correct, and feel the result of each choice through the machine. That combination gives competence a physical form. For someone whose daily work remains abstract, that immediacy may be part of the appeal. The feedback is direct enough to be felt. Simulator research has found that experienced riders can detect hazards faster and use more flexible visual search than less experienced groups. That is real motorcycle-specific skill, yet it does not certify general intelligence. It shows that repeated attention inside a demanding activity can build specialized perception. That distinction matters because difficult tasks are not automatically enjoyable. A complicated machine can exhaust you. A well-matched challenge can do something else. A small field study found that riders reported more pleasure on curving roads than on straight sections. The safe interpretation is not that speed creates happiness. The more careful reading is that active control, changing demands, and matched challenge can make the ride more engaging. Psychologists often use the word flow for deep absorption that appears when skill and challenge meet closely enough. You are not watching yourself perform. Your attention is fully inside the task. The next input arrives before unrelated thought can regain control. Among a group of motorcycle racers, flow was associated broadly with intrinsic motivation. Sensation-seeking had a narrower relationship. That does not make thrill irrelevant. It means adrenaline is too small an answer for the full attraction. Thrill-seeking is associated with some risky rider behaviors. Aggression and sensation-seeking can appear alongside speeding, errors, or stunt behavior in some riders. That still does not describe every motorcyclist or every reason a person returns to the machine. Flow gives a better partial answer. For some people, riding is rewarding because it demands full participation. The road keeps asking questions, and your body has to answer before your internal commentary can take over. That can be especially appealing when your everyday mind is analytical, restless, or hungry for complexity. But this is also where a flattering explanation can become dangerous. If you enjoy difficult systems, you may assume that enjoying the challenge means you have mastered it. Those are different claims. Experience can improve motorcycle-specific perception. Yet one hazard perception study found that riders with advanced training responded fastest, while the group with experience alone responded slowest. The study does not rank every rider or prove that every course produces expertise. It exposes a crucial difference between time spent confidence gained, and skill deliberately corrected. A veteran can feel familiar with danger without seeing it as accurately as a trained rider. That is uncomfortable because intelligence can support learning, yet it may support rationalization too. A sharp mind can examine evidence. That same intelligence can build an elegant defense for what the ego already wants to believe. The concern is not that smart people are secretly foolish. Nobody becomes immune to overconfidence by identifying as intelligent. Another study adds a stranger complication. Motorcyclists took more risks when riding, but when they completed tests as car drivers, their behavior resembled that of non-motorcycling drivers, while they also showed stronger hazard perception. The cautious interpretation is not that the motorcycle creates a reckless personality. It is that behavior can change with context. The same person may express judgment, confidence, and risk differently when the vehicle, expectations, and rewards change. That brings us to the real psychology of smart people who love motorcycles. Motorcycle preference is not evidence of higher intelligence. The stronger explanation is cognitive style fit. People who enjoy effortful thought, novelty, complex stimulation, immediate feedback, and measurable improvement may find riding unusually satisfying. The motorcycle concentrates those rewards into one activity. It gives you continuous information, direct control, rapid correction, physical involvement, and a clear relationship between what you notice and what happens next. The appeal is not necessarily danger. It may be the rare feeling that your attention, body, and decisions are all pointed in the same direction. That is the main answer. The motorcycle may reveal the mental state you seek, not the intelligence level you possess. And once the machine becomes a reliable path into that state, it can start shaping identity. Research suggests that riding behavior can be influenced by social identity and group norms. A group can reward restraint, discipline, and learning. It can also reward display, status, or the refusal to appear cautious. The same person who considers themselves rational at work can become more sensitive to image on a motorcycle. That does not require hypocrisy. Context changes which rewards feel important. Belonging can alter what looks impressive. A machine associated with competence can make criticism feel personal. This is where the dark interpretation becomes possible. But one behavior is never enough. Riding alone does not prove emotional avoidance. Enjoying speed is not evidence of insecurity. Modifying a motorcycle cannot establish status compensation. A deeper interpretation needs a pattern. The first marker is disproportionate defensiveness. Someone questions your riding skill, and the comment lands as an attack on your intelligence, judgment, or worth. Instead of evaluating the criticism, you defend the identity. The second marker is escalating stimulation. A normal ride stops feeling meaningful, so greater intensity is repeatedly needed to produce the same sense of focus, mastery, or importance. This does not prove pathology. It may show that the reward has shifted from riding well to feeling exceptional. The third marker is replacement. Riding no longer complements difficult parts of life. It repeatedly takes their place. The motorcycle becomes the cleaner problem because the road gives immediate feedback, while work, relationships, and uncertainty refuse to behave like machines. When those markers appear together, a harder possibility deserves attention. The motorcycle may still provide genuine joy, but it may also function as identity armor. It can create a domain where competence feels visible, control feels available, and emotional ambiguity temporarily disappears. That is a possibility, not a diagnosis. The point is not to shame the rider or turn every pleasure into hidden damage. What matters is clearly recognizing when a healthy attraction begins demanding protection from evidence. An intelligent response starts with separating time from expertise. Years of riding can build familiarity, but deliberate training tests what familiarity may hide. The goal is not to collect proof that you are already skilled. It is to discover where your judgment still needs correction. Then, watch your defensiveness. When criticism creates an immediate need to explain, dismiss, or outperform, treat that reaction as information. It does not mean the critic is right. It means your identity has entered the conversation. Finally, pay attention to the norms around you. Choose riders who make restraint look competent, who respect training, and who do not confuse risk with courage. Belonging always teaches something. The only question is what your group is training you to admire. Now, return to the opening image. The visor closes. Your attention narrows. The noise outside your task loses power, and the motorcycle still offers something real: focus, feedback, pleasure, and mastery. What has changed is the meaning. Loving motorcycles does not prove that you are smarter than other people. It may show that your mind is drawn to complexity, immediate consequence, autonomy, and complete participation. The final test is not whether the machine makes you feel intelligent, it is whether your intelligence survives correction. The smartest rider is not the person who appears fearless. Real intelligence remains curious, correctable, and willing to keep learning.